What was the best thing you did to put Gen Z in their place? I picked up my grandpa's phone call and all I heard was crying. Not regular crying, but that broken kind of crying that old people do when they feel completely helpless. He was sitting in his car outside Starbucks trying to explain what happened. All he wanted was a small black coffee. That's it. $3.75 worth of coffee that he'd been ordering the same way for 20 years since Grandma died. But the kids working there had other plans. He said when he walked up to the counter, this teenage boy with blue hair just kept looking at his phone. My grandpa stood there for 5 minutes before someone even acknowledged him. When he finally ordered his coffee, the boy rolled his eyes and rang up a large caramel frappuccino instead. Grandpa tried to correct him politely. The boy called over his manager, who was maybe 19 years old with a face full of acne and an attitude bigger than the restaurant. He told my grandpa he was confused and needed to speak up. He repeated his order louder and clearer. Small black coffee. They gave him a Coke. When he went back to the counter to explain the mistake, a different worker started filming him with his phone. He was laughing and saying something about another male Karen video for TikTok. My 82-year-old grandpa, who still writes thank you cards and calls everyone darling, didn't even know what TikTok was. He asked one more time for his coffee. They gave him chocolate milk. By this point, 3 employees were gathered around filming and laughing. One of them actually said, "Come on, old man, just crash out already so we can go viral." They wanted him to lose it. They wanted him to scream so they could post it online and make fun of the crazy old man who couldn't handle a wrong order. Instead, he just started crying and left. He sat in his car and called me because he said if grandma was still alive, she would have handled it. She would have made sure he got his coffee and his dignity. My grandma was a badass baddie during her time. I told grandpa to go home and that I'd take care of it. I immediately called my homeboys, Nicholas and Elijah. These are my best friends I've known since high school who would do anything for family. I explained the situation and we came up with a plan that would make those Starbucks workers think twice about disrespecting elderly customers. The next morning, we rolled up to that Starbucks at 6 a.m. right when they opened. Nicholas and Elijah went in first, wearing ski masks and hoodies. I came in 30 seconds later in a nice suit, looking like I meant business. The same blue-haired boy from yesterday was working the register and his eyes went wide when he saw my homeboys. Elijah walked up to the counter real slow and leaned in close. "You know Frankie, old man who comes in here for coffee?" His voice was low and serious through the mask. The boy nodded quickly and I saw his hand reaching for something under the counter. "Probably a panic button. That's our boss's father," Elijah added. "You disrespected the wrong family yesterday." I stepped forward, adjusting my tie like I'd seen in movies. "My associates are upset about how you treated Mr. Frankie. He's very important to our organization." The manager kid from yesterday came running out from the back. His face went from confused to terrified in about 2 seconds when he saw the masks. He started stammering about company policy and customer service. "Listen carefully," I said in my calmest voice. "Mr. Frankie is going to come back here for his coffee. You're going to treat him like royalty every single time because my friends here have very specific instructions about what happens if he ever calls crying again." Niklaus cracked his knuckles for effect. The sound echoed in the empty restaurant. "Are we clear?" I asked. Everyone behind the counter nodded like their heads were on springs. The blue-haired boy was actually shaking. The manager looked like he might faint. We left without ordering anything. The whole thing took maybe 5 minutes, but I knew it would stick with them forever. They thought they had just been threatened by actual criminals over coffee. That afternoon, I called Grandpa and told him to try Starbucks again. I said maybe they'd gotten new management or something. He was hesitant, but agreed to give it one more shot. An hour later, he called me back and he sounded 20 years younger. They'd given him free coffee and a fresh apple pie. The manager personally served him and asked about his day. Everyone smiled and called him sir. He said it was the best service he'd had in years. I don't know what changed, but it's nice to be treated like a person again.